Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for gracing me and coming to this workshop. This workshop is about my grandmother or my grandmothers and about this rock right here. Like I get teary-eyed and choky. This rock is the staple kitchen tool in my family. My grandmother actually carried this rock. I'm gonna pick it up for you so you could see. It's about 40 pounds. I am the 7th generation to have the rock. It's my most prized possession. My grandmother, where did I put my? So today we're going to talk about my grandmother's masala brick and the art of making roti and dal puri. Roti and dal puri is the staple bread of Guyana. You would not go to a wedding or someone's house without having roti or dal puri. Dal puri is normally made for weddings or parties and so forth, but roti is more every day or on the weekends. So my ancestors are from India and Africa, and they were brought to Guyana as diasporas. My ancestors were fishermen, and what they did was they knitted their own fishing nets. And this is where I get my inspiration from, me knitting all of my pieces, knitting or crocheting or weaving. I used to be really, really enthralled with watching my uncles knit the fishing nets that they would then use to make a living and also to feed their family. Some fun facts about Guyana. Guyana is part of the jungle. There's 1 million acres of protected land. Guyana is a rainforest. There's only one road that leads from Guyana to Brazil. It's named Highway Number 1. One road. Guyana's jungle contains the world's largest crocodiles, river otters, fish, snakes, everything you could imagine. It contains the largest jaguar in the world. And my first home, that I'm very humble, was a treehouse. The women in my family would go to the fishing wharf and pick up the fish in their baskets and walk around town selling their goods that they grew or their husband caught with the fishing nets. My fascinators are my inspiration, these baskets. It was quite honorable to see them. These women walk, some of them were only 100 pounds and they carried hundreds of pounds on their head. The women also sold their fish at the market, and most of the markets were outdoor. This is my grandmother's masala brick, and at the end of the day, the family had to be fed. And at the end of the day, my ancestors would go home to feed the family, and where would they go? They would go to their rock. I'm going to demonstrate for you in a couple of minutes. These are some of the spices they would use to make the paste. They would start with the watery spices like onion and garlic and peppers. These are some of my favorite Guyanese curries. So For breakfast on Sunday, our brunch, my mother would serve us with my favorite, roti with pumpkin and shrimp. For the weddings and so forth, you would get dal puri and duck curry. And this is what the bread would look like when it's done. I also love chicken curry as well. This was the last workshop that I did that my mom, well, it wasn't the last, I've done it before, but my mom, it was on her birthday that I did this workshop, and she was so, so proud. So I'm so happy to be doing this with you guys. And these are some family pictures. This is my Aunt Gallo there, my mom and me, my mom with my brothers, and then some other cousins. So we moved from Guyana to New York. These are some other cousins and some other, this is my mom here and my father over here. And that's the end of the presentation. So now I'm going to walk you through, at the end of the day, how my grandmother would grind her spices on her masala brick. So first they would start with coming here, and they would start with the dried, the wet goods. So you might get some onions, some wiri peppers right here. You would get some garlic. They might cut it up fine like that. Even some peppers. And then they would grind it. Imagine a day's work, taking care, walking around town, selling your goods, and then having to come home and do this way. And they would grind. And you see how hard it's even taking me to grind so little. And they would just continue to grind. And when they grounded it, it looked something like this. Can you see? This wet little, it looked like this. And then when they were done, they would then mix their spices. And they would literally mix it like this. Well, let me go a little bit. Let me stop for a second. Some of the other spices that they grounded was the actual seeds. The actual seeds. This is cumin. It would literally go there like that. And because it's already wet, it would be a little bit more better to grind. And they would grind at the end of the day. You can see how hard and how long it's taking me. This was fresh for every meal, every day. And they would grind, and then they would make a paste. That paste, so I just added some curry. This might be some turmeric. They might put some ground, not cumin. I have other spices here. There's garam masala. the ground turmeric that you would get. And then there's salt that I didn't bring. And then they would mix it together. Mix it together like that. You would add sauce, and then it would look like this. This is the sauce. This is the paste. This paste they would then put in a kahari or a cast iron pot, put it at the bottom of it, and then they would mix and make their curries.
And it stores very well, doesn't it? The paste. How long will it last?
It stores very well. You can put some oil in it. It could probably leave out for about 2 or 3 days.
Oh, okay.
But what I do is I make a whole bunch and I leave it in the refrigerator. So this is how they would make their curries. Then the bread, Dal Puri. Now this was just for sure.
Where did the brick start? Where did the brick come from?
The brick came from India, and my grandmother actually carried it on one of the boats that brought them from India to Guyana on her head and walked on. So Dal Puri is a unique bread that's served at weddings. It's so time consuming to make. What it starts with is chickpeas or split peas that you would make split peas. So you would take this and put it to boil with a lot of water, and you would add garlic, 1 or 2 wiri-wiris, a lot of cumin, and some coriander, and you would let it boil. And then when it was done boiling, you would boil it where it was halfway done. And you would strain it in a colander. And in that colander, you would let that air dry. And after it was air dried, so they would put some on the masala brick as well and grind it. And they would scoop it up. And they just ground it. So the women would come to the weddings 3 days before. They would show up at the weddings with their masala brick to help cook the feast. And you would get this. You see how messy this is? They were like perfection. You would get this, it becomes powder-like. And when it's done over there, it would look something like this. This, I grounded in my food processor. It would look like this. Before you guys leave, if you want to touch it, hello, how are you? If you want to touch it, I want you to come and touch it and get dirty. It's very, like you can't feel any grain in it. And then you would mix your spices in it. You would put some scallions. I might put some more cumin in it. I like to you'd put some salt in it and so forth, and then you mix. You mix like this. Now, this is not the right finish. But then, in between doing all of these things and grinding and taking care of the kids, they had needed flour. Pretty much, you would follow that flour to make pizza dough. So they would need flour. And then they would make little balls. This is ghee. It's purified butter. You would take some more ghee, rub it in here, and take some of this filling and stuff it like that.
We're
like this. And you would stuff it like that.
Is it rice in the bowl?
It's not rice, it's split peas. And it would look like this. And then they would cook it right away because Guyana is an hour, 15 minutes away from the equator. So they would cook it right away. My mom and my grandmother were genius. They did the prepping the day before if a lot of people were going to be there. And we would prep it. You had to work very quickly and leave that. So now you have that stuffed ball. Now for the fun part. Skylar. You can just put this, or Erna, just take that over there. So that was Dal Puri. That's what you would serve at weddings.
How do you cook it?
I'm going to cook it right in front of your eyes. The other one that you made was roti. This flour is the only flour, this and another one, that I will ever make roti with, or dal puri. There's only two in the whole wide world that I will use. If you see this flour, buy it. I only know of one place in Palm Beach or in Florida that sells it. Food Town on 45th Street. Yeah. So this is the roti. Roti you made maybe daily or once a week. This is just the dough. And this is how you would prepare the roti to cook. Again, they did this after working for a living and helping their husbands at the wharf. Ghee. You could use butter. This is a mixture of ghee and sunflower oil. And then you would oil it to make this beautiful loy. Okay? I'm going to do another one to show you. It looks easy, but it took me years to master. And it is my goal in life is to show the world, if they'll allow me, to go into their homes and make this bread. Yeah.
I'll allow you.
So you don't let the flour rise?
You do. There's certain steps that I didn't tell you about, but I'll give you more information when we speak. Actually, the flour is sometimes kneaded in the morning before they went to work and covered and left to rise. So when they come home, it's done. But at least 2 to 3 hours, the flour is left to rise. And you just come, yeah. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. Skylar, you can take that. I'll take these two, actually. So this would normally stay. How am I doing on time?
You're good. You want to know how much time?
Yeah, what time is it?
You have 30 minutes.
Okay. So I'm going to start. I need that little plate back. So now is the fun part. I'm going to show you how the roti is cooked. Ghee. This is a tawa. There is not a family member in Guyana that does not own one of these. If you don't own one of these, you just.
There's no word.
I don't know what to say. Huh? You could, and I'll tell you where. So this is Dal Puri and Roti that I preferred. See, I told myself don't cook it because I was up this morning cooking. I made 45 of these. So this is the Dal Puri, right? That's stuffed. And now I'm going to cook it right in front of you. How you handle the dough is very important. The reason why my mom and my grandmother would put it in the refrigerator the night before is, I'm not going to make those, is because it would help with the rolling. So what you want to do is you want to roll out the bubbles. There are bubbles. And you want to make sure that the ends is as thin as possible. You see how big this is getting? Wait. So as a kid, I was mesmerized by this because the new brides were judged by their mother-in-laws. Ladies and gentlemen, my mother-in-law. So this bread, if you could cook this, forget what the guy said. Your mother-in-law, you're going to marry her. So this is what you now do. Yes, it is. So normally the first 2 or 3 takes, you have to get to know your tawa and how hot you normally would touch it, okay? And while that's doing that, you come here and you get the next one ready. Sometimes they break, like this one just broke. So the women would come to the wedding with their masala brick, their rolling pin, their hands, and you'll have an assembly, and the family members would make 2, 3, 4, 500 of these. So you see those little bumps that's forming? That's what you want. You want to pay attention to these bubbles that are forming. The younger generation are afraid to get dirty and messy. And this is really hard to master, as you can see the various steps. So they know how to eat it, and they don't know how to make it. So I want to go into high schools and teach our younger generation, boys and girls, how to make this. because I think it's phenomenal. Because kids do love it. My Italian friends, my German friends, they're like no, like how are you making this? So this is the dal puri. So you see, it takes time, and you have to get your tawa to be warmed up to a certain temperature, and then you flip it. And technically, you're only supposed to flip your dal puri 3 times. So I just flipped it 1 time, right?
Yeah.
That was the 2nd time? Okay. So I have a brush that I use at home, but I wanted to show you what my ancestors used. Sometimes it was a little piece of a towel. This is a napkin to dab it. Now this is what you want it to look like. So my tawa is just still getting warmed up. Fold it in half. So my mother, I was in charge of cooking the meals. So she would leave to go to work at 3 in the afternoon. She was a nurse, or a nurse's aide. She worked from 3 to 11. My job was to come home from school and make meals like this. Arna. Today I'm going to make for you guys 3 dal puris. And then I'm going to make you roti. I love dal puri. I would rather make this one than the roti. But everyone's different, or eats. So what's supposed to happen is this bread is supposed to get big. So I'm rolling the way you roll it. It's supposed to fluff up. The way you roll it is very important. But it takes a good 3 to 5 of them. So I'm going to try to make this bread fluff for you guys. It takes a good 3 to 5 of them to get that going, because the tawa is at a certain temperature, and it has to get to a certain temperature. My mom didn't like to make them this big, but Shakeera had big things to do, so I would always make them big. Actually, the Trinidadians are very well known to make this dal puri, and they make it huge. Like, you think my tawa is big? Oof. They've got some bigger. Okay. So my rock, my masala brick, is given to the oldest woman in the family, girl in the family, and on her wedding day. So I told my daughter, if you don't learn how to use the rock, I don't think I can give it to you. I might just auction it off or something. I don't know. She's not happy with me. Or I have another cousin who shows promise. This is what you want. 1 second. This is what you want to happen. See that? That's what you want to happen. What did you say? Exactly. The filling is in it. That's all. Rana? So because my tawa is getting a little bit hot, you just get that's my last dal puri. Now I'm going to make roti for you guys. Roti kind of cooked the same way, but the finish is very different. It is a thinner flour. I find that English flour, Canadian flours, German flours are just so finely grounded. And it does what it says it's going to do. You also want to make sure you get the ends. So I used a spatula before. Us modern girls have modern tools. My ancestors didn't have modern tools, so they used their hands. Sorry about the mess. Medium. So that's what you want. So if your mother-in-law came over and she saw you making this, whether her son liked you or not, he's marrying you. That's what you want to make your roti do, your dal puri. Fold it in half. Go ahead. Now this is roti, cooked the same way. My spoiled brothers would tell my mom that they wanted roti every week. And it was my job to make it. And they didn't just want roti, like leftover roti or cold roti that you can warm up on the stove. They wanted me to make their roti, and when I'm done making it, put it on their plate so they can eat it fresh and hot. They didn't want to have to warm it up. Well, that's the way the husbands were. The wives never sat and had a meal. Well, only the rich wives. The wives would make the roti and put it, say, everybody go get your curry. Go get your plate. I've actually eaten in a leaf. So kind of like the same way, right? Watch. Do you see how messy it is? You should see what my kitchen looked like this morning. And it's Skylar's job to clean it up. So you see what's happening? That is what you want happening to your roti. But wait. The finale. Go ahead, Arna. So you have to clap with your bare hands the steam from the roti. You have to stop the roti from cooking. Now there's an easier way, and I was going to show you guys today, but I said nah, because I want you guys to go home and make this bread. Come on, you're a baker, Nicole.
Yeah, but I don't have that.
I want you to go home.
I have a pizza stone.
Yep, you can make this stone here, you know what I got it from? An old table. I threw away the stone. So you could or you could roll it out on your counter at home.
Now at home, is that all connected? The stone, is that connected to that?
No.
Or at home, do you take the stone and put it on your stove?
This stone?
No, the top part.
This isn't a stone. This is a cast iron skillet.
Okay. So
Call it tawa. You see what's happening? Again, that's what you need. Yeah, you could take it off,
but at home, you do it the same way?
right? Like this.
Wow.
And that's how my brothers like to be served. Oh, let me wipe this off. Okay. I would like to give classes. That's my goal. But I want to come into your home and give the classes with your own instruments, with your own tools. I could help you to get the tools, but I want you to make this bread. And I want you to master it. Because I really think that once we came down here from New York, and my husband we thought of different ways to make a living. At one point, I was going to get a food truck. And I was just like, I don't know about that. And I definitely entertained the idea. We even went and looked at places for a restaurant. But I just thought, I think I just want to teach this. And I don't want to make it easy for people. Isn't that mean of me? I want to go into your home and teach you how to use this and not be afraid of going into the kitchen. Would someone like to come and clap this one for me? You can. Come. Come around. Let me get you away from the... And go ahead. Not bad. So this is what you have to do.
Not so good.
Yes, but not a bad. Stay. Let me show you. What you want to do is you want to fold it in half, and you want to clap it midair. Look,
Midair.
like an accordion,
Okay.
like that.
Yes. So
Not like this.
Ah.
You want to clap it like this. Get a little dirty. Go ahead. One more time. There you go. Drop it. Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, here you go, Erna. That is how you make roti and dal puri. Any questions?
Does roti have a meaning, or that's just the name of it, and dal puri doesn't have a meaning?
No, actually, it's honestly just a poor man's bread and a rich man's bread. So if you went to someone's home and they had dal puri, well, they were rich, because of the time and the consistency to get. Not many people can master the flakiness, the texture, all of that, so it took me a really long time to master this. I've been making this bread since I was 5. And my mom and my grandmother would give me a bowl, and they would just let me go to town and get dirty, and there'd be rocks and things in there. But they would let me practice. And then when it was time to be for real, as I got older, I'm like, oh, this is serious. This is, serious stuff. So I think I was almost 18, and at the time they were still organizing arranged marriages. And I would go home, and there would be a family member and their son would be there and so forth, and trying to do the arranged marriage. And my maybe wannabe mother-in-law would say to me, "Do you know how to cook?" "Nope, I hate it." "I don't know how to cook. No, I don't want to. I'm going to have a maid. I'm not. They're going to be making that for me." So I didn't want to get married. But little did they know, and the rest of the world knew, was that at the end of the day, this is how I went home and I played. So, yes.
Thank you for a wonderful demonstration. I'm a little curious, actually, about the beautiful decorative piece in your hair. Could you tell us a little bit about your jewelry making?
Oh, thank you. So this is some wire. I collect different kinds of wire. That I crochet, I knit, I weave, and most of the time I'll make a fascinator. Like, I can't touch the clicker. You know, the ladies that was carrying the baskets. I normally go there for my inspiration. I remember these ladies wearing all different baskets on their head. You know, I would laugh at them. So that's where I go for my inspiration. But this wire actually is from a wine bottle that my husband, one of my husband's favorite wine is, oh my God, what is it, Baba? What's the name of the wine with where I get the wire from? I'll tell you. So there is this wire. Oh, Capola. And around the bottle is a wire. And I would take the wire, and this is how I came up with this inspiration. I was studying the wire, and I had like 5 or 6 of them. And then...
You're fascinating.
Oh, yes. Yes, I will. So, my mother-in-law. So this is just wire from the wine bottle that I took and I put it in my hair. So, and then this wire I also crochet it, I knit it, and so forth. So this is different kind of wire. This is wire that I wove, and then I crocheted it. And each earring is a little bit different. None of them are ever the same. So I took the art of my ancestors knitting nets, fishing nets, and I took it into a different kind of art. So. And that's how you make roti and dal puri.